Hi everyone, it's Sandy, and today I'm doing my December wrap-up. This month I read 13 books, and I also completed my reading challenge of reading 100 books this year. The first book that I read is The Martian by Andy Weir. The main character, Mark Watney, is abandoned on Mars, and he has to find a way to survive. I've always been interested in reading survival stories, and after hearing people talk about this book, I knew that I really wanted to pick this book up, especially since there was a movie coming out. I knew that going into this book that there would be a lot of scientific descriptions and explanations, and that I would most likely be bored by it, and I was. I tended to zone out whenever the main character is describing how he's going to fix something, how he's going to solve something. The first couple sentences of his explanation did interest me, but then he kept going on, and that just really bored me. And I don't know if it's just me, but I also had a hard time picturing some of the setting. When I watched the trailer after reading the book, the Hab was nothing what I imagined. I'm really looking forward to seeing the movie so I know what everything is like. I really did enjoy Mark Watney's humor. He was a really funny character. I love that he can make light of the situation that he's in. I really liked how this book switched point of view, so you don't just see Mark Watney's perspective, but you can see what's happening going on with NASA and how they're trying to save him. I thought that was a really great thing that Andy Weir did. I still haven't watched the movie, but I'm looking forward to it when it comes out on DVD. So overall, I give this book a 3.5 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. This book takes place in the Grisha universe, but it follows a whole new cast of characters. There are 6 main characters, and they have to complete an impossible heist where they have to break into a place and retrieve a prisoner. I really like this book. I wasn't the biggest fan of the Grisha trilogy, so I was a bit nervous going into this book because I know lots of people love it and I was scared that I wasn't going to, but I'm really happy to say that I did really enjoy this book. It did take me a while to get into the story, but I did really like the overall pacing of this book. There were some parts in the story where I got confused as to what the characters were doing and some of the terminology that was used. I feel like even though I read the Grisha trilogy, there is still a lot of terminology that I don't know about. Some of these terminology I was just like, whatever, I don't know what it means, but I'm just gonna go with it. My favorite aspect of this book is the characters. I love the characters so much. They're so complex and well written. Sometimes when it comes to books that have many characters, I would tend to get one character confused with another character, and that didn't happen in this book. Although there were some minor characters that I did confuse with one another, I thought the whole group had a really great dynamic, and I also liked some of the pairings in this group, and not romantic wise. For example, I really like the friendship between Wylan and Jesper, and the friendship between Nina and Inej, and then I also liked the romance between some of the other characters as well. I really liked how the romance in this book was very, very minimal. This book was really plot driven and it focused on the heist, which I really liked. I recently heard that this book is actually going to be a part of a duology, which is really interesting because not a lot of fantasy books are duologies. I am really curious as to what's going to happen in the second book and how it's going to end. I ended up giving this book a 4 out of 5 stars. Then I finished Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This book follows 2 main characters, Katie and Ezra, and on the day that they have broken up, their planet is attacked and they are both escaping on different spaceships, and there is another spaceship that's chasing those 2 escaping spaceships, trying to destroy them. I have a review on this book, which I will link down below. I love the way it was formatted through files, messages, and emails, and I loved the interaction between all the characters. I think Katie was a wonderful main character. She's really intelligent, brave, and sassy, and I was constantly rooting for her and Ezra to get back together, and I just love this book. It was amazing. 5 out of 5 stars. I participated in Cramathon this month, which was hosted by Whitney from Witty Novels. I ended up reading 5 books for Cramathon, which is amazing because that definitely helped me catch up to my reading challenge, and Never Never Part 2 is the first book that I completed. The first book, Never Never Part 1, basically follows 2 main characters, Silas and Charlie, and they have both lost their memories. So they're basically trying to figure out what's going on in their lives and why they lost their memories in the first place, and I think it's a really great mystery type of book. Each part is about 150 pages, and I really dislike that it's separated into 3 parts. I know that there was a reason behind why they separated it into 3 parts, but I can't remember it right now. And I feel like if they combined everything into one book, I would have enjoyed this story a lot more because I hate waiting for the next part. I really don't know how to rate these parts because they're so short. I feel super conflicted about my rating for this book. I ended up giving it a 3 stars. I did enjoy this book, but I was kind of confused for about half of this book because I had no idea what was happening to Charlie, but the ending was really great. Colleen Hoover and Tarryn Fisher sure know how to end in a cliffhanger. I'm really glad that Never Never Part 3, which is the last part, comes out really soon soon. It comes out in January. I can't wait for that to come out so I can finally get some answers to all of my questions. The next book that I finished is Revenge, Ice Cream, and Other Things Best Served Cold by Katie Finn. This is the second book in Broken Hearts, Fences, and Other Things to Men. Such long titles. These books are kind of like really fun and addicting reads because I flew through this book. I read this book in less than 3 hours. I remembered reading through the first book super fast, and I knew that this was a perfect read for Cramathon, and it definitely was. So as you can see from the title, this whole series has to do with revenge and friendship, and as much as I really enjoyed this book, it was also very stressful because there was a lot of revenge going on, and the revenge just keeps getting bigger and bigger. This series is pretty unrealistic, but it's so fun to read. Because I enjoyed it so much, I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read for Cramathon is My True Love Gave to Me, edited by Stephanie Perkins. And I was really looking forward to reading this book because it's the holiday season, and I was just really in the mood for some holiday reads. I'm kind of disappointed by this book, to be honest. There were a handful of short stories that I really enjoyed, but there were also another handful of stories that I really disliked. I did rate each book individually on Goodreads. The stories that really touched my heart and gave me feels were the stories that I rated really high. My favorite short stories were definitely Kiersten White and Stephanie Perkins. Those stories just was so heartwarming and just made me so happy to read. Some of the stories that I didn't like were Gail Forman, Laini Taylor. The reason why they were really low ratings was because I was either super bored, not interested in the characters, or confused. So as a whole, this book was a 3 out of 5 stars. The next book that I finished is Frozen Tides by Morgan Rhodes. This is the 4th book in the Fallen Kingdom series, and oh my gosh, this series gets better and better with every book. This book is my favorite one in the series so far. There was a lot of relationship developments, which I really loved. The whole world just gets bigger and the plot is just so crazy right now. This book just gave me so many feels, especially towards the end, and to no surprise, I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars. And the last book that I read for Cramathon is Ferris by Marissa Meyer. This is Levana's story in the Lunar Chronicles, and this is basically what happened to her in the past. I thought it was really interesting to see what she did in the past, things that happened to her, and also just being in her head, because her head is I really enjoyed this book and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. The next 3 books that I read are part of a series, and that is the Summer Solstice series by KK Allen. I do have a series review on these books, which I will link below, and there is a giveaway going on in that video, so if you want to win a free book, you should check it out. I actually reread the first and second book this month before going into the third book, which recently came out last month. This is a series that I've really enjoyed. It's a really fun series to read. There is an incorporation of Greek mythology, and the author takes her own spin on it, and I really enjoyed the story and the characters, and I do recommend this series. Overall, I gave all of these books a 4 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read is Passenger by Alexandra Bracken. I was lucky enough to receive an e-arc on NetGalley. I do plan on filming a review pretty soon, so look out for that. I don't want to give too much of my thoughts away, but this book does have to do with time traveling. The main character, Etta, is a violin prodigy. She's from the present time, and she is thrown into a different location in a different time period. And I really enjoyed learning about the time traveling in this book. It's very different from other time traveling books that I've read. This book is very long, and my main complaint of this book is that it's very slow. There were times where I was a bit bored, but I did really enjoy the story overall, and I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. The last book that I read this month is one that I've been wanting to read forever, and I finally finished it last night, and it is Love Letters to the Dead by Ava DeLera. This book follows a main character named Laurel, who is given an English assignment to write a letter to the dead. She chooses Kurt Cobain to write to, and she ends up writing a bunch of letters to other people as well. As you can guess, this book is told through letters, and I loved that it was told like that. The writing was beautiful and poetic. I loved Laurel's friend group, and I really loved her character development. She was really closed off in the beginning, but eventually she starts to open up and talking to others. I really enjoyed seeing that. I give this book a 4 out of 5 stars. That is it for the books that I read in December. If you've read any of these books, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!